So we've made the difficult call to actually not proceed with Integrate in 2020, but wind forward to 21 in Melbourne. So we're looking at the dates of the 24th to the 26th of August at the Melbourne Convention and Exhibition Centre.
Welcome everybody to another instalment of AV Asia Pacific's Lockdown podcast. Today I've got with us Soren Norgaard, who's the commercial manager at Diversified Communications, best known as the show director of Integrate Expo in Australia. Welcome, Soren.
Thank you, Chris.
Seems like well over a year ago that you and I were chatting at the ISE show in Amsterdam in Feb. Certainly the threat of COVID was looming back then, but we really had no idea what we were in for, did we?
No, it seems a long time ago, though it's only really a couple of months ago. And yes, we were aware of some of the restrictions, and ISE. I think we could see that some of the crowds were slightly down, but no, we certainly couldn't anticipate the scenario we're in now. Very different world from that beginning of February scenario.
Look, I'll let you make, I guess, your announcement, as it were, like where Integrate Show currently sits and what the latest is. Do you mind updating us? Yeah, sure. So obviously Integrate was scheduled to run in August this year in Sydney at the ICC. We came out with a message a few weeks back now saying that we felt that it would be the right thing to postpone and look at alternatives later in the year, given that there was so much uncertainty around what COVID means, and also lead time for exhibitors is not a couple of weeks. It's certainly a few months when it comes to engaging with stand builders, arranging logistics, arranging shipping of product from overseas in many cases. So we did the right thing by industry, even though it's a very hard decision, and probably, as it looks right now, probably the right decision, given that the lockdown and certainly the social distancing legislation that's in place will probably be applicable for some time in the foreseeable future. That in mind, we've been looking at some alternatives later in the year, and as you can imagine, a lot of these venues would have a number of events that are looking at going to the back half or Q4. Yep. We had some dates that were sort of entertaining. We did some consultation with industry in general. Consensus was that though it could work, it wasn't ideal, and also the outlook. Nobody has a crystal ball at the moment. What the social distancing rules are going to mean for that time of year, and we were looking sort of November. So we've made the difficult call to actually not proceed with Integrate in 2020, but wind forward to 21 in Melbourne. So we're looking at the dates of the 24th to the 26th of August at the Melbourne Convention and Exhibition Centre. Right, skipping Sydney, as it were, and maintaining your schedule, I guess, of Melbourne, Sydney, Melbourne, as it were.
Yes, that's right. And again, it comes down to venues and what have you. There's obviously going to be demand next year for the venues, given that there will be a number of trade shows that would either have been postponed or cancelled in general. So we already have tenancy for Melbourne, so it sort of makes sense. But we are looking at some alternatives where we might be able to engage the AV community in Sydney next year in different ways. And certainly in the interim between now and next year, we're not just going to fade away. We're here for the industry, and we certainly will be communicating, and we'll be offering different ways of communicating from our exhibitor base to our AV community, if you like. So be rolling out some options to be considered, and there will also be some partnerships with the likes of usual suspects, likes of AVIXA and what have you, around education. We're looking at different options in that space. As you would know, at the moment there's quite a number of online options that have opened up. Some of the paid education has been opened up for free, and there are also a number of exhibitors that are doing training and community gatherings, if you like, just to keep the industry together in this time.
It's a weird time. It demonstrates that just what is possible online, and people are doing lots more online as far as training and the type of activity that they might reasonably pursue at a trade show. So it demonstrates just what is possible online, but I guess it also puts into sharp relief what we're missing out on by not meeting in person.
Yeah, and I think, there's always going to be an appetite, and certainly you can't substitute it. I've been working online now for the last few weeks with teams, and yes, it's nice to see somebody at the other end, but it doesn't sort of substitute the interpersonal relations that you have in a workplace. Saying that, maybe this is something that, we're all going to take some learnings from and use it more effectively going forward. And really, when it does come to those face-to-face meetings, enjoy the time that you have. From what I hear and what I see is that the social distancing could be the new norm for some foreseeable time.
What's the chatter, I guess, in your circles as far as what people perceive as the new normal when it comes to exhibitions? Like, for example, it seems like flying executives halfway around the world to trade shows just seems like sort of fantasy at this point, doesn't it?
Yeah, certainly if you look at the scenario where Europe's at, and particularly the US at the moment, I think it's going to be some time before they come back to some normality. But I think also people are going to take stock and sort of look at this scenario and maybe, assess the necessity of doing so. And, there could be different ways of engaging. So I think it's going to be quite a different world whenever we come out the other end. And I think, we're all going to take some learnings from this. I think some of them are going to be positive. Certainly, if you want to be philosophical, we've already seen some good things from this when it comes to environment and what have you. Air pollution is down some 40-50% globally. That's got to be a good thing.
Yeah, for sure. So what's been the industry's reaction, I guess, to your announcements over the last month?
I think there's certainly an understanding, and you have to accept that this is the reality. You can't force something upon industry when legislation says you can't meet. And that's the thing. We don't know when that will change. I think society in general will get back to some normality in the next couple of months in Australia. It looks that way. But I think the social distancing thing is going to be in place for some time yet. Who knows how long, but obviously that will affect conferences and trade shows and what have you. But, industry in general, I think depending on how your business is built and what your product range is, some are harder hit than others. I think obviously companies that are very focused on networking, video conferencing, streaming, and what have you, are doing okay at the moment. But then there are others that are very geared towards retail or hospitality, live events. They're certainly feeling it, and I think the ramifications of this
even with the companies that are geared towards UC, if you like. That's not endless. That's going to come to an end at some point in time. So as economy and general feels the impact of this, it's going to have a knock-on effect in general. But it's not just the AV industry. I think there are many industries that are going to be hard hit, and it's going to take some time for the economy to recover from this. And I reckon it could be 2 to 3 years.
As an events organizer, can Integrate survive this 1 year hiatus?
Yes, it can survive for a year, and Integrate's not the only show that Diversified Communications run. We have a number of shows in different industries. We obviously have a US head office based in the US, and they've got shows over there. But the business as a whole is a strong business, and I think we've got the support of the business. So we've got to manage through this, and same as many businesses, it's going to be hard. And obviously we're foregoing a lot of revenue, so we've got to find a way to get through this over the next 12 months or so, I reckon. So we'll get through it, but it's not going to be easy, that's for sure.
Sure. Is there any parting comments you want to make before we sign off?
Really, I just wanted to say that my empathy is with a lot of people in the industry that are doing it very, very tough. Entertainment industry in general has been hit really hard because events are not happening, concerts are not happening, retail's environments are being shut down. It's tough, but we'll get through it, and hopefully better and stronger for the future.
Cool. Thanks, Soren. Appreciate your time.
All right. Thank you, Chris.